The morning sun poured through the tall windows of the Whitstone Hotel, lighting up every inch of marble and crystal. Guests moved gracefully across the hall, their footsteps soft, their voices polite. Amara Wells adjusted her uniform, hands trembling just slightly. Her eyes were kind, her face soft, but they carried a story nobody asked about, a story of hardship, of quiet endurance, of always being unseen. She had learned long ago to blend in, to work without drawing attention. That morning, someone broke that pattern. Victor Langford. A name whispered across the city with awe and envy. A man whose wealth, charm, and precision made people stop in their tracks. But today, his eyes weren't just confident. They carried something raw, something desperate. Amara didn't notice him at first, polishing the silver near the dining room, lost in her own world. Then he froze, just for a second. And in the next, he was walking toward her, slow, deliberate, with a purpose that made her stomach tighten. He stopped in front of her, leaned in slightly, and in a voice low but trembling, said the words that would change everything. "Tell me I'm your husband." Amara froze. Confusion and disbelief collided in her chest. Why would a man like him, wealthy, powerful, untouchable, say something like that? Before she could respond, a sharp click of heels echoed behind them. A woman's voice, elegant but edged with suspicion. Amara turned, and froze again. A stunning blonde in a white suit held a champagne glass in her hand, her eyes sharp as crystal. Elena. Victor's wife. Or maybe not anymore. The air thickened. Victor's hand rested lightly on Amara's shoulder. Elena's gaze bounced between them, suspicion cutting through the room like a knife. "Victor," she said coolly, voice steady but icy, "who is this woman?" Victor didn't flinch. His gaze stayed fixed on Amara. "She's my wife," he said softly. The room seemed to spin. Amara nearly dropped the tray in her hands. Elena's glass shattered against the marble floor. And without another word, she turned and stormed out, leaving behind tension, questions, and a silence that felt louder than any shout. Amara's heart raced. Victor's composure crumbled for just a moment, and in that moment, everything changed. Elena's heels had barely faded down the hallway when the room seemed to exhale, the weight of her presence still lingering. Amara's hands shook slightly, still gripping the silver tray. Her heart raced, unsure what to do next. Victor stepped back, running a hand over his face as if to wipe away the shock of the confrontation. I'm sorry," he whispered, voice cracking just enough to show the man behind the millionaire mask. Amara blinked, caught between fear, confusion, and a strange pull she couldn't explain. There was something raw in Victor's eyes, something vulnerable, something that didn't belong to the rich, untouchable man the city whispered about. For the first time, Amara saw him, not the millionaire, not the charming stranger, but a human being, fragile and weighed down by his own regrets. In that brief silence, a connection sparked, unspoken yet undeniable. Two souls, each carrying their own pain, each trying to navigate a world that had never been gentle. Victor lingered longer than necessary, watching her straighten the silver, listening to the soft clinks, as if in those small moments he could make sense of the emptiness inside him. And Amara. She noticed the sorrow behind his smile, the loneliness hidden behind his charm. She didn't understand it yet, but it touched something deep within her, a reminder that even people who seem untouchable can carry unbearable burdens. From that day forward, Victor began to find her in unexpected places, corridors, the garden, near the service doors. Always polite, always careful. Sometimes he spoke, sometimes he simply watched. But always he returned. And every time he did, the tension between them grew, not from fear, but from curiosity, from an unspoken understanding that their lives, though worlds apart, were quietly intertwining. The question lingered in the air. How far would he go to reach her? After that first day, Amara tried to ignore him. She had work to do, a sick mother to care for, and barely enough time for herself. She didn't need distractions. But Victor always seemed to find her. In the hallway, in the garden, near the service door, he was there, quiet, watching, waiting. At first, she thought it was coincidence. But then came the little gestures. A small wrapped package left for her. Medicine for her mother delivered discreetly. Even moments when he simply watched her work, saying nothing, just being there. Slowly, Amara started to notice things she hadn't seen before. the sadness behind his confident smile, the way his shoulders drooped when no one was looking, that hidden loneliness that no amount of wealth could hide. She didn't understand him, but she felt a connection she couldn't explain, a pull that made her curious. Why did he keep coming back? What did he want from her? And then the whispers started. Staff talking quietly about Victor's failing empire. Rumors about his broken marriage. People said he had it all, and yet had lost everything that mattered. No one knew the truth, but it made every encounter more complicated, more tense. Amara tried to focus on her life, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Victor's visits meant something bigger than herself. With every small gift, every silent glance, the tension grew. And deep down, Amara knew one day she would have to face it. One afternoon, in the quiet of the hotel garden, Victor finally spoke. His voice was low, almost hesitant, but filled with a weight he could no longer hide. "My wife, she filed for divorce," he said softly. "Took half my fortune. But it's not the money that hurts. It's the guilt. I chased wealth so blindly. I forgot what love even feels like." Amara looked at him, surprised. Men like Victor didn't usually talk like this. Vulnerable, honest. She felt a strange pull, a mix of sympathy and curiosity. Then, she began to share her own life. Her father had died when she was young. Her mother was sick, relying on every penny Amara could send home. Her dreams, buried long ago, set aside just to survive. As they talked, a quiet understanding formed. Two people from different worlds, carrying their own pain, finding solace in each other. For the first time, they didn't have to hide. They could just be real. Victor's presence felt less intimidating and more comforting. Amara realized he wasn't just a millionaire with power and charm. He was someone who had lost his way, someone looking for connection just like her. They spent hours like this, talking, sharing, quietly understanding one another. A bond began to form, not instant love, not dramatic sparks, but something deeper, something real. And then, slowly, Victor started helping her in small ways. Medicine for her mother, little gifts, better living conditions. But Amara resisted. "I don't want to owe you anything," she said once. "I just want to live honestly." Victor paused, the words sinking in. He realized that love wasn't about giving her wealth. It was about respect. About truth. But how far would he go to show her that? Victor couldn't stay away. Every day, he found ways to help Amara, leaving her little gifts, arranging medicine for her mother, making sure her home was a bit better. Each gesture was quiet, careful, never meant to show off. Amara noticed, but she refused to accept it fully. "I don't want to owe you," she told him one day. "I just want to live honestly." Her words hit him harder than anything else. That's when he realized something important. Love isn't about money, power, or control. It's about honesty, respect, and being there without demanding anything in return. But no matter how much he tried, he couldn't protect her from everything. Then one morning, she didn't show up at work. Her mother's illness had gotten worse, and Amara had left for the countryside without saying a word. Victor searched the hotel, called every number he could find, but she was gone. For the first time in his life, a man who could control everything felt completely powerless. Where had she gone? Was he too late? Could he reach her before it was too late? 3 long weeks passed. Every day, Victor searched. He called hotels, asked people, checked every lead he could find. But it was like she had vanished into thin air. For the first time in his life, a man who had once controlled everything felt completely powerless. Nothing he did, no amount of money or influence, could reach her. Finally, in a small, quiet village 2 hours away, he found her. She was standing outside a tiny cottage, eyes red from crying. Her mother had passed. Amara was alone, grieving, carrying a weight no one should have to bear. Victor approached slowly. Each step was careful, almost hesitant, as if he didn't want to frighten her. His usual confidence was gone, replaced by something raw, desperation, humility, and hope all at once. She looked up at him, eyes swollen, and for a moment, neither spoke. Words felt small in the face of such loss. Then he whispered, trembling slightly, "Tell me I'm your husband." But this time, it wasn't a joke. It wasn't a game. It wasn't bravado or ego. It was real. A plea from a man who wanted to protect her, to give her safety, to show her a life where she would never have to bow her head again. Would she say yes? Or would this time, even his deepest plea not be enough? Victor held his breath, waiting for her answer. The silence stretched between them, heavy and fragile. Amara looked at him, tears still in her eyes, and shook her head gently. "You're a good man, Victor," she said softly. "But I'm not the woman you think I am. I don't want wealth. I don't want to be rescued. I want peace." For a moment, Victor didn't know what to say. Her words cut deeper than any rejection ever could, yet they held a strange kind of truth. He realized something he had never understood before. Love wasn't about power, control, or money. It wasn't about saving someone. Love was honesty. Love was being real with each other, no masks, no expectations. Amara had shown him that. Without even trying, she had taught him what love truly meant. They stood there, two people from different worlds, both carrying pain and loss, but somehow finding understanding in each other. The connection was quiet, simple, yet undeniable. Victor nodded slowly, a small smile breaking through his grief. He understood now. Love was about truth. That was enough. And then, a decision changed everything. Victor sold his mansion. He left the city behind, walking away from everything he had built, everything that once defined him. It wasn't just a move, it was a new beginning. A life rebuilt, not for power or wealth, but for something real. Where would this new life take them? Could it bring them the peace they both desperately needed? Victor and Amara started over, far from the city, far from marble floors and chandeliers. They built a life that was simple, quiet, and meaningful. Victor used his resources differently now. He helped build homes for the poor, supported small hospitals, and contributed to projects that made real change. Every effort reminded him of Amara's dreams, and he quietly found joy in giving without expectation. Amara thrived too. She taught children to read under the shade of trees, her laughter ringing through the village. Their days weren't filled with luxury, but with purpose, love, and small, beautiful moments that mattered far more. They shared simple breakfasts, walks through dusty fields, evenings of stories and laughter. There were no grand gestures, no sparkling gowns or endless parties, just life lived fully, together. And yet, despite the peace, a quiet curiosity lingered. How would they finally seal their bond? Would their love find the moment it deserved, a chance to be recognized not by wealth or status, but by truth? The answer was coming. Slowly, patiently, as all real love does. Years later, the village was alive with laughter. Children ran through the fields, their clothes dusty, their faces bright with joy. Under the shade of a large tree, Amara taught them to read. Her smile was gentle, her voice patient, and beside her stood Victor, quiet, content, and completely at peace. They had married quietly, without witnesses, without diamonds, without a grand celebration. Just a simple promise beneath the sunlight, a bond built on truth, love, and respect. Amara often reflected on their journey. "He once asked me to tell him he was my husband," she said softly. "But I didn't need to say it. I just showed him what love truly meant." In that humble village, far from wealth and grandeur, they discovered something far more valuable: love, humility, and redemption. Two broken souls had found each other, healed each other, and created a life full of meaning. And that is the real lesson. Love isn't about power, or money, or saving someone. It's about truth, patience, and showing up for each other, even when it's hard. If this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to Soul Stories, where every story reminds us that love, honesty, and redemption still exist in the world. Comment below. If you were Amara, would you follow your heart or walk away? Sometimes, the bravest choice is to love with truth, even when it might break you.